To everyone who is asking me what is NATO's number, do know that technically, I guess you can call an email NATO. They're not going to do anything. Why? Because our politicians are acting like it's business as usual. It's only 4 years, right? So it's not urgent. It's not a constitutional crisis. So you know what would be more effective than contacting and emailing NATO? Going to my bio and going to the Substack link and actually going to our movement that's happening right now, which is where we contact our Democrat politicians, because it's unrealistic that Republicans will listen. And then also there's that safety issue, so don't do that. If you have a Republican politician, just pretend like you have a Democrat politician and send it to them. What is the ask? The ask is that they have 48 hours to publicly state that we are in a constitutional crisis. If they do not, then we simply shun them from politics ever again. It doesn't matter how much we like them. If they do not say the two words, constitutional crises, then they're done, because midterms don't matter at this rate. We don't have months, we don't have years, we don't have 4 years, we have weeks, we have days, until we've lost our country, until we've lost our constitutional rights. And what will Democrats say? Hey, here's an email for you to give me money so that we can help during the midterms. They're not gonna help. They're not helping right now. To implement equal protection under the 14th article of amendment to the Constitution for the right to life of each born and pre-born human person. So they're creating personhood before it's even born. What does this mean? That's going to make women into baby machines. It's not going to be an option of whether or not you want a child. You're going to be forced to have a fucking handmaid's tale. It's bad. It's very bad. In this tradition of decorum, of waiting, of patience, it's not going to work. If there is a timeline in which the Democrats pre-authorize something, we have to escalate that. Protecting children from chemical and surgical mutilation. It's funny because this is for children under 19. Yet, can you get married in certain states when you're underage? Can't you consent when you're under that age? It's ridiculous that you can consent to being with an adult, but you can't consent to understanding your own gender and identity. There's conversation for under 18, I guess. However, it's a reach to put 18 and 19 in this category. It's because the final solution for this MAGA administration has always been transgender Americans. For Germany, it was Jews. For Trump, it is transgender Americans. And because of that, everything else will be justified. You see, the gender executive order that first came out on his first day, it included personhood at conception, right? It created gender. And this is the precedent that will work to actually create women into baby-making machines and to the handmaid's tale. Guantanamo Bay, the U.S. prison camp in Cuba, Trump is eyeing for undocumented immigrants. You know, this is not an anti-immigrant campaign. There's been Puerto Ricans where it's literally a part of the United States who have been taken by ICE. There have been U.S. citizens who have been taken by ICE for what? Speaking Spanish. For what? Being Latino. He is not anti-immigrant. He is anti-Latino. This whole thing is a whole genocidal ethnic cleansing of Latinos from the United States of America. They want to send us to Cuba. We don't have time. We don't have time. So if you're feeling powerless, if you're feeling useless, go to my Substack in my bio and click on that link, and you're going to get to the letter template. You have creative freedom to change it as you wish, the tone, but it's supposed to guide you as to what we're supposed to say, as to what our demands are, and our timeline. 48 hours from actually getting our email or our message, there's a countdown. And upon not meeting that countdown for enough constituents, because we're going to keep a tally, then that means that they have significantly failed and through negligence participated in enabling our constitutional collapse. And as such, they're done. Their career in politics, at least in progressive politics, is done. Note, this is for representatives. This is for senators. I will be creating a letter for Democrats, governors, particularly, I would say maybe a letter directed from Californians and non-Californians to pressure California Governor Gavin Newsom, because I believe that if California led the way in actually resisting heavily against this agenda, then a lot of other blue state governors would do the same and get that courage, because it's the fifth largest economy. However, our governor is really towing the line between wanting to be president in the future and the federal money that we should be able to cover if we didn't actually give federal money to the federal government, because it's ridiculous, because we're not biting the hand that feeds us, because the government doesn't feed us. California feeds the government. However, again, NATO is not going to save us because it doesn't look like we're in a constitutional crisis, okay? We can message them, we can email them, but they don't have that jurisdiction. How do I know? I have a background in international law. They don't have the jurisdiction. The only way they would have jurisdiction is if it was authorized through American channel, like the U.S. military, like the highest ranking military who's capable of restoring the Constitution. But we're not in a constitutional crisis because not enough politicians have said it. We're not in one because we're acting like we're not in one, you see? And this is the reality that we're gonna face. Sure, maybe we cannot go outside and protest because of martial law. Fine, I'll accept that, whatever. But we need new methods, non-traditional, in which we can overwhelm these channels. So options are calling, options are emailing, options are contacting them through their websites, and also overwhelming their social medias with these demands. Note that doing this, that's on my bio, is more effective and more efficient and has more substance than messaging NATO will. Because they're not going to be able to help us because they don't have us as their jurisdiction. We have Article 6 Supremacy Clause. We are only in obedience to American supreme orders, and that means that the foreign government, if they want to do something, they have to mitigate whether or not they're willing to deal with the military response of the United States. And what do you think that answer is if we're scared of martial law? No. So the next alternative is that if we cannot show that we are in a crisis, then our politicians should be able to shout it for us. Failure to do so, their government career ends. That's it. I don't care how much you like them.